Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Earth Day 2024. Please welcome the Vice President and Vice Provost of Global Futures at Arizona State University, Peter Schlosser.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Walton Center for Planetary Health and our celebration of the 54th annual Earth Day. Hard to believe, actually, that it's more than half a century since Earth Day was founded. And we will use today's event to look how the Global Futures Laboratory contributes to all the issues that are at the heart of Earth Day, because in a way, a lot of what Earth Day was about is our mission, to figure out how can we get out of the pressures that we have created for ourselves, and how can we envision a future that doesn't have all these pressure points that, if nothing else, very quickly narrows the option space for those who are coming after us. So the way we structure this is that I will give a short overview, not short, maybe half an hour or so, overview of the state of the Global Futures Lab. Then this will be followed by a youth panel. So we will hear from those whose future depends a lot on what we are doing now and what we are neglecting to do. And we will conclude with a reflection on what the July 2023 heat wave taught us about extreme events. And we have to expect more of them as we are going forward. So as we look towards the future, days like Earth Day really remind us to look back and explore what we have learned and what we have neglected to learn from past events. Earth Day 1970, the first one, occurred about the same time, many of you know that, as the publication of the Club of Rome's Limits to Growth, Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, and these were the two that I really wanted to highlight. In essence, it was the direct response to a massive oil spill off the coast of Santa Barbara. Some of you might remember that. And that was witnessed by Senator Gaylord Nelson from Wisconsin. And he was inspired not just by that horrific event, but also by the student anti-war movement, which happened at the time. And he felt a sense of urgency to pay attention and act to these events. In a larger context, it was also the recognition that the world was developing towards a real danger for the future of our planet. So, and what happened? People realized this situation and actually did act when Gaylord Nelson, together with Congressman Peter McCloskey and Dennis Hayes, organized the first Earth Day in 1970. 20 million demonstrated across the United States. That is, given that it was the first event, that was a massive outpour of support and recognition that something is astray and needs the attention and needs action. It was this initial event was quickly followed by the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act, among others. So there was an initial strong reaction. At the time, these were significant successes, and they were bipartisan, which is an important recognition as we are moving forward, where we are actually making the decisions upon how to act on issues that relate to our Earth, partisan issues, and in essence, sometimes they get caught up in paralysis between parties. So as we look back, what has happened since 1970, again, more than half a century ago, we have to come to the conclusion that we are acting too slowly, especially in the face of an ever clearer picture of the crises we have created for all life on Earth and continue to create them. And we are increasing the pressure on the life-supporting systems of our planet, and we are, importantly, while we are doing that, we are not using all the growing knowledge we have accumulated about how we can address these issues. And what worries me sometimes is we are still developing the problems for our planet, for all life on the planet, for the social systems at a rate that's faster than the rate at which we are solving some of them. So we are still opening that gap between issues that need immediate attention and the fact that or the solution of them actually in essence. So what that means is that humankind is in a more precarious situation today than it was 50 years ago. What I often say is we are in negative time. We are missing the targets that we have set for ourselves in many initiatives. The most well-known, probably, the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. If you go through them, all 17, we are actually off track. But another iconic one is the Paris Agreement. Both of these initiatives and the targets related to them were launched in 2015, which is, again, almost a decade ago, and we fell behind rather than making progress towards them. So while the effects of global change are felt around the world, and there are some global initiatives, there are some regions that are hit harder than others. And Arizona, Phoenix, Tempe is one of these regions. We are seeing rising temperatures, and we will hear about that, dwindling water resources. Quite a bit of that is being worked on and is being communicated. But there's also an emerging third threat to the economic viability here, and that is decreasing air quality in population centers such as Phoenix. And that might actually be a critical issue that might prevent this region going forward if we are not acting fast in a way that we all envision, which means that we still can have an economy that provides jobs so that people actually can live in the valley with the resources they need to prosper. So the urgency to act is still growing, and Earth Day is an annual reminder that we need to rethink our trajectory. And that, of course, is what GFL is all about. So to reflect on what GFL contributes to the critical issues we are reminded of each Earth Day, I will summarize some of the main activities that are taking place within GFL and all its entities. Given the multitude of initiatives, projects, centers, schools, college that we have, this cannot be comprehensive. I just will pick some of the highlights. So if you are not mentioned in that, don't feel that this is not as important as the other ones. This will come in another, will be highlighted in another, at another event, but clearly we have on our plate right now a very large set of initiatives that are more and more synchronized, and that is what we set out to do. And I just wanted to give you a sense of how far we have gotten with that. So let me see if this works here, because they decided to do that all upside down. Okay, so there we are. So I'm often asked, you are probably all often asked, what is that laboratory, right? Is it one room in the corner of the building here where people are fiddling away with their beacons? Now, that's not what it is, as you all know. In essence, what it is building the prototype of the University for the Future of our planet. And if you take that approach, then it makes a lot of sense why that structure has a college within it, schools within the college, research centers, research institutes, initiatives, a solution service, and all the messaging that is needed to engage with the outside sometimes through networks. So let's look a bit at the learning space first. And if we are looking at that, we are actually part of the group within ASU that is pushing the edge of the fifth wave of higher ed. And to do that, we envision to include students and learners in the design of new ways of learning, basically giving students more agency in the development of action-oriented learning and thereby letting them enter the engagement space. And this is exemplified by our development of a course in virtual reality through Dreamscape Learn. And there we actually will give students a sense, or learners a sense, of which world are they living in. How did we get there, and how can we move forward? But that's not the only one that I wanted to highlight here. We do have, as most of you know, we have an overhaul of the Gen Ed curriculum underway. One of the 7 pillars is sustainability, and we have actually moved forward and gotten approved. I'm looking here at Mickey, more than 40 courses for the gold status, and more is underway and being developed. So that is actually a chance to give everybody the option and the possibility to learn about which world are we living in, where are the opportunities, and where are the challenges. So it's a very important development, and it is important for all of us to engage in that so that we give everybody the opportunity to learn about which world we are living in. As you all know, we have, since just a little bit more than a year or a year and a half, a new school of ocean futures. And there we are actually making great progress in developing the educational offerings. They are expected to, the programs are expected to be offered in fall 24. I'm not aware of any stumbling block at this point that might prevent that. And just to give you a sense of what kind of degrees we are creating, so there is a Bachelor of Science in Ocean Futures, same for a PhD program. And then for those who want to be more on the practitioner side, we are launching an MS degree in Marine Science and Coastal Management. So that's for those who are really, whose primary interest is to learn what can be done and be ready to go out and be among the decision makers that decide how these precious resources will be used. But we also have major education programs out of some of our research centers. So the Sweetie Center for Sustainable Food Systems was granted a USDA Next Gen program or grant to look at how we are moving forward and in educating the next generation of food system leaders. And many of you know that the mission of the Sweetie Center is to rethink the food system, because we all know that if we are not changing the food system, we probably cannot solve the climate problem. We are often neglecting that part of the equation. We are typically focusing, and rightfully so, on energy, but there are other components, and clearly the food system is one of them. So in the next section, I want to highlight some accomplishments in terms of how long some of our entities have been at work, have contributed to how to think about how we move forward in this, on this planet. And the longest, the entity that has existed the longest and has had impact, significant impact over more than 120 years is the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences, typically known as BIOS. So founded in 1903, we are celebrating 1 year late, but nevertheless the 120th anniversary in June of this year. So there will be a showcase of the science, there will be an open house, and I know that several, if not many of you, will be at the event in Bermuda. We also have, moving up in the timeline, the 20th anniversary of the Global Institute of Sustainability, now the Global Institute of Sustainability and Innovation. As many of you know, in 2004 there was a meeting, or a high-level meeting at Tamason, after which Julie Wrigley decided to make her foundational investment into all things related to sustainability, and the first expression of that was the foundation or the establishment of the Global Institute of Sustainability in 2004. I sometimes see different numbers for that, different years, 2004, 2005. We've celebrated the 15th anniversary in 2019, so I thought I'd just stick with 2004, and this is a significant milestone for us. We also have the Center for Biodiversity Outcomes. I see Leah sitting here, and 10 years since that. Quite a bit of accomplishment, but also it shows how fast time is running. And there is a celebration this Friday, so don't miss that. It will be here in the auditorium, and you saw the announcements. It will be a great event. I hope many of you are able to make it. Humanities for the Environment. Really important to get more of the thinking of humanities, social sciences, arts, etc. into our portfolio. So the Humanities for the Environment actually have been impactful in our space also since 10 years. So they have their 10th anniversary. And the impact is growing, which is a very healthy development here at ASU that you don't find that often in our peer institutions. They are often coming from the environmental side and have a hard time to get that holistic view. Let's go from here to a few examples of new program, project, initiative launches. So the first one is the NSF engine. Many of you know it under engine, NSF engine, under SEAS, which was the original name, or SWISI, SWISI. People have actually trouble with that. I think the acronym now is SWISI. So what it is the Southwest Sustainability Innovation Engine. And this program is one of the 10 inaugural awards by the National Science Foundation at a very long duration, up to 10 years if we meet the milestones, at a very high volume, up to 160 million if we meet the milestones. So that is a huge opportunity, but also quite a challenge to stick with it. But more importantly, what is it about? It is a program that is geared towards helping with our insight the region to figure out how it can keep thriving in an environment that has increasing challenges. So what the engine will look at is a combination of issues related to water, energy, carbon, and workforce development. So unlike many of the other engines that focus more narrowly on one issue, we decided to say, let's see what are the most important issues for the region. And so we are working together with the University of Utah and the University of Nevada, Las Vegas as the key academic partners to really take a regional approach. That was something that was a bit of a risk going into that, because you all know, all of you actually who write NSF grants, that sometimes being a little bit broader is penalized, but we felt that is the right approach, and in the end we got a chance now to show that it can be done. I'm sure you will hear more as this goes along. Diane Pataki, Scott Barkley, many others were really drivers of that program, and really a great chance for us to move forward. Given the centrality of water, and you all know about the Arizona Water Innovation Initiative. Dave is sitting here. I'm pretty sure there are more in the audience. We also recognize that as we are moving forward, we have to find a vehicle that integrates all the great work done by individuals, by centers, by initiatives. And so we decided to launch in 2020, just 2 months ago or so, during Water Day, the Water Institute. And Upmanu Lal, who moved here from Columbia University in January, is the director, but it is meant to really be a home for everybody who works on water and to give the right support to those who want to move into that area. Another big initiative that is in the closing stages of negotiation with the Department of Energy is the Carbon Hub. And related to that, we are thinking through how an energy institute, which would be a little bit in parallel to the Water Institute, would look like. And we hope that both of these will be launched in 2024. The Carbon Hub would allow us really to scale up the technology that was developed in the Center for Negative Carbon Emissions and give us the opportunity to not just capture CO2 from the atmosphere, but to also think about which fraction of that can be used economically and how can we actually put away the rest that Klaus Lackner often calls the waste problem of CO2 in the atmosphere. And the final one in this segment is the Circular Plastics Microfactory, which is a partnership between ASU, City of Phoenix, Goodall, and Hustle Phoenix. And that also was opened this year, and that has to be credited to the Rob and Melanie Walton Sustainability Solution Service, and quite a few leaders there. Alicia Massey, I see Michael Dorsey here, Raj, everybody in the service really helped to make that work. If that can be scaled up, that will be a major step towards thinking about how to deal with plastics. Because all of you know, plastics is emerging as one of the biggest problems in terms of polluting our planet. And everybody here, I mean, if we would add that up, each of you probably has the equivalent of 2 credit cards worth of microplastics in your body. So if we would integrate it up over the entire room here, it would actually make a significant amount. So let's move on to what we are doing on global partnerships. So first, I would like to mention the Bridges program, which is a part of the MOST program, Management of Social Transformations, of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, typically shorthanded as UNESCO. And this is, here at ASU, we have the Bridges flagship hub, which really is the intellectual driver. And that was only possible because people like Joni and Sally and others have actually laid the foundation so that when this opportunity came along, that we could take advantage of it. That's a very important initiative that goes to the heart of what is in the design of the Global Futures Lab, saying we have to understand many changes in the environment and social systems, but in the end, the key is to understand what we often shorthand as societal will. If we don't understand how people are looking at our world, how they make decisions, how we can incentivize them to do different decisions, then we just will not succeed making the changes that are needed. Next one is Future Earth. Many of you know what Future Earth is. It is the world's largest program, an international program on research and innovation in sustainability. And there we are negotiating with Future Earth to house, next to Bridges, the Future Earth Global Coordination Hub here at GFL. That would give many of you the opportunity to understand where are the trends in that field, what kind of opportunities are coming along, engage with them. And it would also house the executive director of Future Earth, there would be more convening. So this would be a major additional capacity for us to engage, to feed into future Earth, but also learn from future Earth. We are also in the middle of taking on part of the Earth Biogenome Project, and that is done by Harris Lewin in coordination with so now I'm Nico France. I have to deal too much with Jason France. So when France comes up in my mind, it immediately wants to say Jason. I thought, no, Jason is not doing that. So it's Nico France, who, while many of you might have heard that Nico is probably moving to the University of Kansas, there were also discussions that part of his time will stay here to help with these kind of things. So another category that is important for us is to be visible, to have an impact on audiences out there. And one of the ways we are doing that is through what we call the 10 must-haves initiatives at this point. We will probably rename that into something like Rapid Response Initiative or Fast Tracking Initiative. This is an initiative that we developed jointly with the Earth League, but we advanced that through the Global Futures conferences that really were driven out of the Global Futures Lab, co-convened in 22 with the Earth League, in 23 with the Earth League and Planet. Many of you know of the company Planet. So that is, at the heart of it is that we want to identify the 10 targets that we have to figure out how to approach faster than we are doing right now, so that we can get back on track with some of the targets that we are missing right now. Many of you know that we are actually through the Earth League, and we actually have the bulk of the secretariat here in GFL of the Earth League. The Earth League every year produces the 10 new insights in climate science. And they are delivered to the negotiators at COP. So they inform them, and they are actually taken up more and more. This year, some of us had a chance actually during COP to talk to the Secretary General Guterres about what is in there, how should he read that, what is the urgency in it. And he funny enough, he brought his advisors along, and he opened the meeting saying, I just brought you here to make sure that what I hear from my advisors is right. But in essence, I think he wanted to engage in figuring out where are the pressure points and what is the language that should be used. Dave White, sitting here in the front, was a major participant, a lead author in the National Climate Assessment, version 5, leading the Southwest chapter. But there were 12 other ASU key contributors. That's something that was not the first time that Dave was involved in that. So that gives us actually not just visibility and branding, it also gives us the opportunity to influence what these reports say. And on the other hand, it also gives us an early insight in what will be published, and that can position us in a way that we can take advantage of opportunities that are developing. So, what comes next? Just want to highlight two major events that we will have. One is about a year from now, which is the annual meeting of the Society of Environmental Journalists, SEJ. And the next one, you might probably have heard from that because there is quite a bit of communication going on already. In January almost 2 years from now, 2026, AAAS will have its annual meeting here in Phoenix. So many opportunities to not just listen to what these organizations are doing, but also how can we hook up with that, and how can we feed into them? How can we inform the program and thereby get our message across? Before going to the next segment of this event, I want to also make sure that some of the GFL leadership is announced. Many of you know all of that, but nevertheless, there are probably some who have not heard about several of the appointments. So first of all, I want to acknowledge that Josh Abbott and Eusebio Squanavacha have been appointed as directors of the School of Sustainability and the School for the Future of Innovation Society. So permanent directors here. And I see both of them in the audience. I also thought that I saw Kelly Barr. Here she is, who is the Associate Vice President Chief Alliance Officer, helping us to understand how we can connect with the entities that we want to influence, but also bringing them closer to us so that this dialogue that is so important for engagement is enhanced. See Heidi Gracie here. Many of you know Heidi because she was involved in our marketing, communications in many aspects. But since March 18, she is now our new Chief Operating Officer. So anything that, if you have any problem, any complaints, Heidi is it now. And I'm not sure if I saw Ed Chu. He's traveling. Okay, he's here on secondment or sabbatical, whatever the right thing is. He's an advisor to our president from the Environmental Protection Agency. And you probably saw the climate chats with Ed and things like that. So he is actually getting a sense of what we are doing and how we can actually coordinate and synchronize with EPA.